Welcome to Pain in the Grass, the official Lawn Pride podcast, where we dig deep into the real problems hiding in your yard. From weeds to grubs to mystery brown spots, we've got the dirt. Let's grow better together.
You know, it's a classic summer nightmare. You spend all spring working on your yard, getting it perfectly green, perfectly pristine.
Oh, absolutely. It becomes an obsession.
Right. You meticulously calibrate your mower, you edge the driveways, you pull every stray weed, and you go to sleep feeling like you finally conquered the landscaping game.
Until you wake up.
Yes. You wake up, look out the window, and find your beautiful lawn has suddenly just been destroyed. Large, ugly brown circles just wrecked overnight, and you have, no idea what to blame.
It's completely demoralizing. I mean, you invest months of sweat equity building up the root systems and, the soil profile.
Yeah.
And then this invisible antagonist just wipes it out while you're sleeping.
That invisible antagonist is exactly why we are jumping into this deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really fascinating guide published by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte.
Yeah. The Defeating Brown Patch Guide.
Right. Defeating Brown Patch, a guide to summer fescue defense. And they frame this entire landscaping disaster in just the most entertaining way.
They do. It's brilliant.
They do it as a bad employee spotlight. They actually drafted a mock personnel file for this lawn disease.
Which is such a clever way to conceptualize the threat.
Exactly. The target of our discussion today has a 1 out of 5-star performance review, and its rehire status is firmly listed as absolutely not.
I love that. Framing it as an aggressive, toxic employee who just shows up uninvited every summer.
It really shifts the mindset, doesn't it?
It does. It shifts it from, my grass is just dying naturally to there is an active agent dismantling my yard and I need to fire it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's open up the personnel file of this terrible employee.
Let's do it.
The name on the file is Brown Patch, but officially we are dealing with a soil-borne fungus known as Rhizoctonia solani.
That's the scientific name, yeah.
Right. Its official position at your home is lawn destroyer, and it specifically targets tall fescue lawns across the humid transition zones.
Places like the Charlotte region?
Charlotte, Lake Norman, Huntersville.
Denver, Cornelius, Davidson.
Yeah.
All those areas.
Exactly. Areas where you get that intense southern heat combined with heavy moisture.
And tall fescue is just the quintessential victim here because of its underlying botany, really.
Because it's a cool season grass, right?
Exactly. It thrives in the spring and fall. So when you try to grow a cool season grass in a sweltering, humid transition zone summer...
It's already struggling.
Oh, massively. That plant is already under immense physiological stress just trying to survive the baseline temperatures. Its natural defenses are severely compromised.
Which makes it an easy target for Rhizoctonia solani.
Yep.
And the visual symptoms of this attack are incredibly specific. You don't just get a generalized fading or a slow yellowing of the yard.
No, it's much more dramatic.
You get these large, distinct brown circles spreading across the lawn. And if you inspect the individual grass blades...
Which you should definitely do.
Right. You'll see these distinct tan lesions with dark brown borders. But the most bizarre detail, the absolute calling card of this fungus...
is the donut shape.
Yes. The dead patches are donut-shaped. You get a ring of dead brown grass, but the very center of the circle remains green.
What's fascinating here is how that specific donut geometry reveals the exact mechanism of the fungus.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, it's essentially a map of biological exhaustion. Rhizoctonia solani doesn't just drop out of the sky. It lives in the thatch layer of the soil as dormant fungal threads.
Okay, called mycelium, right?
Exactly, mycelium.
Right.
And when it activates, it starts at a single centralized point of infection. But as it consumes the susceptible grass in that central spot, it actually depletes its immediate food source. So it has to aggressively expand outward radially.
Just to find fresh, healthy plant tissue. So it's essentially creating an expanding shock wave of fungal infection.
That is exactly what it's doing. The outer ring of the donut is the active war zone.
Wow.
That is where the fungal enzymes are actively breaking down the plant cell walls, causing that rapid overnight collapse.
And what about the green center?
Meanwhile, the grass in the very center, the original ground zero, has either already been killed off or the more resistant crowns of the plant are actually starting to recover.
Because the fungus has already moved on.
Right. The pathogen is literally outrunning itself, creating that distinct overnight donut pattern.
And that speed is terrifying. I mean, to wake up and see a 3-foot ring of dead grass that just wasn't there at sunset,
It's shocking.
it means this pathogen is working at breakneck speed, which leads us straight into its ideal work-a-place environment.
The perfect storm.
Yeah, if this fungus is operating that fast, it must be tapping into a massive energy source or, finding the absolute perfect conditions to thrive.
It operates under a very strict environmental checklist. In plant pathology, we talk about the disease triangle.
Okay, what's that?
You need a susceptible host, which we know is our heat-stressed Tall Fescue.
Right.
You need the pathogen itself, and you need the right environment. For Rhizoctonia solani, the environmental trigger is a combination of sustained ambient heat and extreme moisture.
Okay, so specifically, it activates when nighttime temperatures refuse to drop below 60 degrees.
Coupled with high humidity, yes.
But wait, if the primary trigger is hot, humid nights above 60 degrees, that sounds like a death sentence.
How so?
Well, anyone living in the Southeast or the transition zone experiences like 3 straight months where the temperature never drops below 70 at night, let alone 60.
That's very true.
And we can't control the weather, so is the fescue just inherently doomed to catch this every July?
It's easy to look at the meteorological data and feel defeated for sure. But the temperature is only one leg of the environment.
Yeah.
A baseline temperature of 60 degrees is just the minimum threshold for the fungal enzymes to become active.
So it needs more than just the heat.
Exactly. To actually explode into those massive overnight donut shapes, the fungus requires free moisture on the leaf blades for an extended period,
Like how long?
typically 10 to 12 hours. And it also requires stagnant air to prevent that moisture from evaporating.
The poor airflow and the overwatered lawns mentioned in the guide.
Right. While we have zero control over the nighttime humidity or the ambient heat, we have absolute control over the microclimate at the surface of the soil.
Okay, I see.
That is the crucial distinction. The weather loads the gun, but the fungus needs stagnant, saturated microconditions to actually pull the trigger.
So we are accidentally engineering the final piece of the puzzle.
Unfortunately, yes.
Which brings us to the human error aspect of this personnel file. The fatal trap.
This is where it gets frustrating.
We are literally enabling this bad employee. The guide points out this deeply tragic irony about how homeowners react when they first see those brown circles.
It's so common.
Because it's the middle of summer, their immediate instinct is to assume the lawn is scorching.
Right, they assume it's drought stress.
Yeah. They assume the grass is parched, so they drag the hose out and start soaking the dead spots.
And you can completely understand the psychology behind it, You spend your whole life learning that brown plants need water. But in this highly specific scenario, watering those spreading brown circles is the absolute worst thing you can do.
Here's where it gets really interesting. By watering that brown patch, you aren't saving a drought-stricken plant.
No, not at all.
You are actively accelerating the fungal infection. It's like finding a dangerous mold growing in your bathroom and deciding the best way to clean it is to turn on the hot shower and close the door for the weekend.
That's a great way to put it. You are actively feeding the pathogen.
And the guide specifically calls out evening watering as the ultimate sin here. Why is evening watering specifically called out as a trigger?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, let's break down the mechanics of an evening watering schedule.
Okay.
When you run your sprinklers at, say, 7 or 8 p.m., you are driving thousands of gallons of water onto a dense canopy of grass just as the sun goes down.
Right.
Without solar radiation to drive evaporation, that water has nowhere to go. It sits on the blades, it pools in the thatch layer, and the soil profile becomes completely saturated.
Oh, wow. So you're turning the entire yard into a closed, heated terrarium overnight.
A perfect analogy. You are providing 10 to 12 unbroken hours of dark, 75-degree soaking wet conditions.
Which is exactly what the fungus wants.
It is the exact incubation chamber Rhizoctonia solani requires to grow its mycelial network outward.
That is wild.
If you had just left the grass alone, the ambient humidity might have caused a mild flare-up. But by artificially flooding the canopy at night, you gave the fungus a VIP pass to spread unchecked until sunrise.
And there's another major homeowner mistake detailed here that feeds the beast.
Who? The fertilizer.
Yeah, applying heavy summer fertilizer, which seems completely counterintuitive to me.
How so?
Well, usually we think fertilizer makes the grass stronger, helping it fight off disease. But applying heavy nitrogen in the dead of summer apparently gives brown patch a massive advantage.
It does, and it really has to do with how nitrogen affects plant physiology.
Okay, break that down for us.
Nitrogen forces the plant to push rapid leafy top growth. So when a cool season grass like fescue is forced to grow rapidly during the extreme heat of summer,
When it wants to be resting.
exactly, it produces very lush but very soft cellular tissue. The cell walls are actually thinner and weaker.
So you're basically forcing the grass to produce an all-you-can-eat buffet of soft, vulnerable tissue right when the fungus is most active.
Exactly. The fungus doesn't even have to work hard to breach the cell walls.
Wow.
Furthermore, pushing all that energy into growing new leaves depletes the plant's carbohydrate reserve.
Energy it desperately needs for its root system to survive the heat.
Right. You are simultaneously weakening the plant's armor and exhausting its internal batteries.
Knowing how easily we accidentally sabotage our own yards, it completely changes how you have to approach summer maintenance.
It requires a total shift in thinking.
We need a performance improvement plan. If we want to fire brown patch, we have to completely overhaul our routine, and the guide lays out a very specific 6-step defense strategy.
It's a great plan, too.
Let's look at the morning routine first. If evening watering is the ultimate sin, the mandate is to shift irrigation exclusively to the early morning.
Specifically between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m.
Okay, why that specific window?
That 4-hour window is the biological sweet spot. When you water deeply at, say, 5 a.m., you are fully saturating the root zone.
Giving the fescue the deep hydration it needs.
Right, to survive the afternoon heat. But crucially, within a couple of hours, the sun rises. The solar radiation and the morning breeze quickly evaporate the residual water off the actual grass blades.
So you hydrate the roots deep underground, but you yank the surface moisture away before the fungus has time to use it.
Exactly. You are limiting the duration of leaf wetness.
You're cutting off the water supply to the pathogen.
The mycelium simply cannot sustain rapid outward growth if the physical blades of grass are dry by 10 a.m. It breaks the disease triangle.
It's elegant, just a simple timing shift.
Very elegant.
Now, along with watering deeply but infrequently and, abandoning the summer nitrogen, there's a very strict rule in the guide about mowing height.
Ah, yes. The 3.5 to 4-inch rule.
Right. The guide insists you must maintain tall fescue at a height of 3.5 to 4 inches during the summer. But this seems to directly conflict with another rule.
Airflow rule.
Yeah, the rule to improve airflow around the lawn. If I'm supposed to maximize the wind moving across the soil to dry out the moisture, wouldn't keeping the grass 4 inches tall create a dense, heavy canopy that just traps humidity?
This raises an important question, and it really gets to the heart of advanced turf management. It definitely looks like a contradiction.
Right.
A taller canopy does indeed slow down surface wind. However, you cannot compromise on the 3.5 to 4-inch height for tall fescue in the summer.
Because it's a cool season grass. It needs that height to survive the sun.
Yes. The grass blades act like a giant parasol for the soil.
Oh, that makes sense.
Maintaining a 4-inch height shades the crown of the plant and keeps the soil temperature significantly cooler.
Okay, so if you cut it short...
If you scalp the lawn down to 2 inches trying to improve airflow, you expose the crowns to direct baking sun.
You might stop the fungus, but you'll kill the grass anyway.
You will incinerate the fescue. Plus, the depth of a plant's root system is directly proportional to the height of its foliage.
Wait, really?
Yes. Taller grass means deeper roots, which are essential for pulling moisture from deeper in the soil profile during a drought.
So the height is a non-negotiable biological requirement for the plant. That means improving airflow has to be achieved laterally, outside of the grass itself.
Precisely. You improve airflow by looking at the broader landscaping architecture.
Like what?
Well, are there dense, overgrown shrubs along the fence line completely blocking the prevailing winds?
Okay.
Can you thin out tree canopies to allow morning sunlight to hit the grass earlier, accelerating that evaporation?
Oh, that's smart.
You can also mechanically aerate the soil in the fall to reduce compaction. That improves internal soil drainage so water doesn't pool at the surface. You manage the environment around the grass, not the grass itself.
You're managing a complex micro-ecosystem, balancing the shade requirements of the fescue against the evaporation requirements needed to starve the fungus.
It's all about balance.
And if all of these cultural practices still aren't enough, because sometimes August in the transition zone is just brutal, the final step in the guide is utilizing a preventative fungicide program.
Fungicides are an incredibly powerful tool, but the key word there is preventative.
Preventative, not curative.
Right. Once you see those massive 3-foot donut shapes in the yard, the catastrophic damage is already done. The grass in that ring is dead.
So you can't just spray it and turn it green again.
No. Applying a curative fungicide at that point will stop the outer ring from expanding further, but it won't resurrect the dead tissue.
So how does a preventative application actually function, like at a cellular level? Does it just act like a poison on the surface?
It depends on the specific chemistry. But generally, preventative systemic fungicides are absorbed into the vascular system of the grass blade.
Okay.
When the dormant Rhizoctonia solani spores, or mycelium, sense the heat and humidity, they attempt to penetrate the leaf tissue. And the fungicide disrupts their cellular processes.
How so?
Many of them work by inhibiting ergosterol synthesis.
Ergosterol.
Yeah, it's a vital component of fungal cell membranes. Without it, the fungus simply cannot construct new cells to grow outward. It's stopped before it ever forms that initial lesion.
It's like reinforcing the fortress walls from the inside out before the invading army even arrives.
Exactly. And this ties back to the broader philosophy of Lawn Pride of North Charlotte. Your lawn deserves better employees, so you have to be a proactive manager.
Right, you monitor the baseline conditions.
When nighttime temperatures start consistently hitting that 60 to 65 degree mark with high humidity, you know the environmental trigger is pulled.
That is when you lay down the preventative defense, adjust your irrigation schedules, and lock down the yard.
That's how you win.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and review this entire personnel file, the takeaways demand a total paradigm shift in how we handle summer lawn care.
Absolutely.
First, you have to monitor the actual geometry of your yard. If you see circles with green centers, you are dealing with a rapidly moving pathogen, not a drought. Second, you have to completely abandon the evening watering routine. Switching to that 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. window deprives the fungus of the incubation time it needs.
You also have to respect the biology of the fescue. Keep it at 4 inches to shade the roots and stop forcing it to grow with heavy summer fertilizer.
Right. But the most profound takeaway is really about fighting our own instincts.
That's the hardest part.
Everything we are taught about gardening tells us to nurture. When something looks sick or brown, our instinct is to flood it with water and pump it full of nutrients.
But with brown patch, your nurturing instinct is the exact weapon the disease uses to destroy your yard.
It's a fascinating psychological hurdle.
It really is. Which actually brings me to a final thought based purely on the mechanics we've discussed today.
Oh, I love a final thought. Let's hear it.
We've established that Rhizoctonia solani actively thrives when we try to micromanage the lawn with extra summer fertilizer and ill-timed water.
Right. It weaponizes our interventions.
So it really begs the question, are our modern hyper-nurturing instincts to constantly tinker, feed, and water actually the very things destabilizing these microecosystems?
Oh, wow.
Perhaps the secret to a healthy, resilient summer lawn isn't doing more. Perhaps the ultimate masterclass in landscaping is having the discipline to step back, trust the deep root systems, and simply do less.
I love that. The hardest work might just be having the restraint to practice a little benign neglect. Let the sun do its job, let the soil dry out, and let the fescue rest.
Exactly.
Well, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel equipped with the biological knowledge to identify this threat, adjust your routines, and keep your summer territory completely free of bad employees.
Good luck out there.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Pain in the Grass podcast, sponsored by Lawn Pride of North Charlotte, Huntersville, your go-to name in turf care for homeowners and businesses seeking beauty, quality, and reliability, powered by family and fueled by passion. Until next time, make sure to take care of that pain in the grass.